Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 4th, 2008. A very happy election day to everybody. If you've not yet gone out and voted, please do your duty and go out and vote. The polls have very long lines throughout the city, but this is probably a good time if you can get away from work tonight. We expect a very strong crush of people. Be sure to be there before 8 o'clock, but remember to get out there and vote. I'm Council President Eric Garcetti, and I'm joined by my colleagues Richard Alarcon, Tony Cardenas, Wendy Gruhl, Janice Hahn, Jose Huizar, Tom Labange, Ed Reyes, Dennis Zine. We're waiting one more council member to constitute a quorum. So I'd like to ask the council members that are not yet here to please join us right away. That's Ms. Perry and Mr. Weiss and Mr. Wesson. As soon as we have one of them, we will begin the meeting. Mr. Smith, Mr. Rosendahl, and Mr. Parks are excused today for business, city business. We are broadcast live on Channel 35 each meeting, and I want to welcome our viewers on Channel 35 through the system's cable, through the city's cable system, excuse me. And also we are rebroadcast on Channel 35 in the evening. Thank you to the members of the public that are here as well in council chambers and in Van Nuys, where we're able to watch folks remotely. We are also available online at the city's homepage at lacity.org. You can catch live streaming webcasts of our council meetings. We also archive our past council meetings for your convenience. And there's a host of links to our city services and departments, elected officials, and other people who can help improve the quality of your life here in Los Angeles. We are awaiting a quorum. This is a second quorum call for council members Perry, Weiss, and Wesson. I did see Mr. Weiss here earlier, so I know he is in the building. Mr. Wesson and Ms. Perry, if you will also make your way down as soon as possible. Our agendas are available online and in person here in the city clerk's office or in council chambers or online at lacity.org. And those agendas are made public 72 hours in advance pursuant to the state's Brown Act or 24 hours in advance pursuant to our special agenda provisions. If you would like to be heard on any of the items that are before us that have not yet received a public hearing, please fill out a public speaker card in the back, and as soon as we get that card, just hand it over to the Sergeant-at-Arms, and we will include that in the mix. An item that has already received a public hearing will require a council member to reopen the public hearing in order to hear more public testimony. We also can hear public testimony of a general nature on items that are not on the agenda, but nevertheless under our jurisdiction, and you just have to fill out a speaker card in the same manner here or in Van Nuys and hand it to the Sergeant-at-Arms, and we'll make sure that we can hear you for that general public comment as well. Again, this is a third quorum call for Ms. Perry, Mr. Weiss, and Mr. Wesson. Want to thank the public for their patience while we await those three council members who are late. And as soon as they're here, we will begin our meeting. Thank you. Quorum call again for Ms. Perry, Mr. Wesson, Mr. Weiss. We've been informed Mr. Wesson is taking care of a voting problem at his precinct where they've lost power, so he is on his way. Ms. Perry is apparently en route as well. Mr. Weiss, if you're in the building and you can hear this, we are awaiting you now. If you'll please come down to council chambers immediately. Thank you. Thank you again for your patience, everybody. We are waiting one more council member, and we will begin the meeting. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Westenstein, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
All right, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Weiss moves, Mr. Zine seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Mandatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Labange moves and Mr. Weezer seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there's a flag salute.
All right, Mr. Weezer, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? If I could ask everybody to please rise for our salute to the flag.
Thank you. Place your hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Weezer. Mr. Clerk, if we can run through the agenda, please.
First item on the agenda is a street lighting district ordinance notice for public hearing. There should be 12 members. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold that for 12 members.
Items 2 through 6 are street lighting district items notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearings and present the ordinances on November 25th.
Okay. Without objection, we will continue. Oh, Mr. Weezer? Okay, hold on one moment. We're almost at 7. For 2-6, if there's no objection, we'll keep open those hearings and continue them till the 25th. And number 7, if we'll call that special for Mr. Weezer. Next items, please.
Items 8 through 13 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, colleagues, anybody wishing to call 8 through 13 special? 8 through 13? If not, we'll be sure to add any of the cards that were put in to the file.
Mr. President, I believe on item 8, Mr. Zine needs to recuse himself.
Oh, Mr. Zine? Okay, well, let's hold that until we have 11th member so Mr. Zine can split for that vote. And let's take up the balance. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
All right. Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 14 through 19 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, we have cards on 15 and 18. We'll call those special for cards from the public. Open and close the other public hearings. Ms. Gruel?
Item 17, if we could continue for 2 weeks.
Okay, if there's no objection, that'll be November 18th. We'll continue for 2 weeks. Item 17. Mr. Weezer?
Number 18, special, please.
Okay. And Mr. Weiss, did you have them? No, okay. If we can open the roll on the balance, please. That's 14, 16, and 19. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
On the supplemental agenda, items 20 through 26 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. On item 26, there's a request to continue that matter to November 7th.
Okay. If there's no objection, we'll continue that to the 7th. And I would move on the 21 and 25 to continue those until tomorrow. If there's no objection, we'll continue those 2 items. Yes, Ms. Hahn.
I'd like to call 22 special, please.
22 for Ms. Hahn. And I think we'll do, Mr. Weezer?
24, please.
24. And I think we will keep the other 2 items, 20 and 23. We will hold those as well for 12 members as ordinances. Okay. That will take us for general public comment now. This is a time for general public comment for items that are not on the agenda, but nevertheless under our jurisdiction. And our first speaker is Richard Robinson.
Mr. President, members, Richard Robinson. Today at the polls throughout our nation, federal, state, county, and municipal elections are being held. Sir, when I first voted in 1964, I did not know that I would be a candidate for a city council seat years later. I've become a political football you haven't seen lately, but it's because politics are of the people. I stand before you today asking that those who are tuned in not forget our civic duty. Remember that the responsibility of a voter is a responsibility that is a proof of patriotism. One of our founding fathers said, "I might not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." Do not forget to go to the polls. Our republic is built upon the British Parliament, the bicameral system, its House of Lords and its House of Commons. The Magna Carta was written in order to establish the manifest destiny of freedom for all. At the polls today, remember that we are a people who are blessed by God. Made in His image, we are created to serve God. There's a connection between all of us, whether we are Baptist or Catholic. Don't forget to vote. Jewish, Baptist, or Catholic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robinson. We have four speakers in Van Nuys, starting with Miriam Fogler, and then after that will be Donna Pearman. Good morning, Ms. Fogler.
Yeah, good morning. We have to have morality and values if we're going to go out to vote today, folks. And that means having also knowledge and education how to read the ballot measures. First of all, bonds come back to the public, and you have to pay for those. So you need to realize the impact. You have to vote no on those. Prop A is half of what I just got a raise on my property tax from $80, and you want to vote no on that because that's probably about what you got. $80 more a year, $36 a year. I like the gang thing, but I don't like the way she's doing it. The parcel tax is the wrong thing to do. Need to put on the ballot, just like Prop 13, to limit how much parcel tax can be imposed on the, like Prop 13. There's got to be limits. We all have to live with limits and moderation. And we're here with God, in the presence of God. You walk with God if you have a belief that you have the spirituality of connectedness to God. And, of course, I can say the city attorney that sits there doesn't believe in the God, that he has power over him. Of course, the city council, all the people here at the city hall think they have more power. They have power over the people than the laws itself that they impose. I hope not. But frankly, a Prop R is not good. It's not right. Because you should be all that's going to go to CRA, and I'm against the CRA. I'm opposed to the agency emphatically. And also, Obama, he said, I know he was born in Kenya, I don't know, but I'm not doing it because of race, I'm doing it because he may not be a U.S. citizen, and also he doesn't have military experience. I don't know why everybody wants to vote for a liberal. Please don't vote for this. And he wants to raise taxes, I'm sure he does.
Donna Pearman's our next speaker.
Hello, Mr.
In Van Nuys.
Garcetti.
Good morning.
Good morning. First, I'd like to tell people, remember to vote if you haven't already, especially Republicans. Don't let the polls dissuade you from doing the right thing. Do we really want someone with no military experience and very little government experience? It's your choice. Please vote no on the gang tax. Vote no on A. Even the liberal paper is against it. The parcel tax is the wrong thing and the wrong, especially for now. Vote no on J and Q, and vote no on R. Our sales tax is high enough. I do not trust them. They will do half projects. They'll only do and do studies. And by the time it starts really getting done, we'll have to find another way for more money because they'll find they don't have enough money. We need to fix our local buses, and this one won't do it. It's a never-ending project. It's up to you to say no on the bond issues. You need to go out there and say and vote no. Otherwise, when all these prices go up, you can't cry because you didn't vote. So please go out there and vote. And I really think vote no against it because I vote no because I really feel these will go down if you go out and vote. And vote no. Even you haven't figured out who you want to vote for. Please vote no on the bond issues. Vote yes on yes too, though. It's the right thing to do. You don't care for animals, you won't really care for people. So people go out there and vote. And I'm also against the CRA projects. And I believe the CRA projects caused all these bond issues. They stole all our money in the city, and that's why we have to go out and get these. That's why they want all these bond issues. So our city goofed up. Don't bail them out. They're not Wall Street. Don't bail them out. Vote no. Thank you.
Save our fire, please.
Save our fire.
Thank you very much. Before our next, we have two more speakers, but just before that, we do have 12 members. We could take up the ordinances that we were holding that have not been called special. That was 1, 20, and 23, please.
Mr. President, I believe items 22 and 23 should be taken together. So you wish
Okay,
to
so why
take
don't we keep 23 then? We'll just do 1 and 20 right now. And then, okay, hold on. We have to figure out Mr. Zine's recusal. Let's take up 1, please. If we can open the roll on 1, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, and we'll go back to public comment. Rick Nightingale is our next speaker, and after that is Bruce Darien.
Good morning, Rick Nightingale. I'm completely with them about the bond measures. Don't vote on them. I'm telling you right now, they had their chance to pay for all this stuff. That's what your gas tax is for all the roads, bridges, and so forth. And they haven't done their job. They keep spending the money, giving it away, but they aren't doing their job, and that including the state up there. Everybody thinks they should get everything for free, and it ain't that way. You're supposed to do things. Why should you pay for things twice? Going back to the other thing regarding DNA, I'll tell you right now, I'm sure glad Laura Cheeks was around. That Weiss and Smith turns around and says, well, I didn't think it was that big of a thing, and the rest of you council didn't think it was that big of a thing. We all talked about it, and it finally came around, and if it wasn't for her, it wouldn't have happened. And I'm so glad that she was there. I wish she wasn't leaving. She's the only one that's doing her job and is conscious about the public out of all of you people up there. And I just wish she wasn't. Maybe it would be better if she comes back to the council, but it ain't going to do no good. One person that's like that isn't going to do any good. I'll tell you, it just don't happen. But I just don't understand why that the public gets second hand on everything like this, that you people turn around and think the middle class shouldn't get anything, and the poor, I'm sorry to say, but that's why you have your churches and your organizations and so forth, that we should have something to say about it, and we really don't. It just comes out that we feel that we're the person in the closet that just don't count until it comes to that you want the money, and then the middle class you try to hit for. It's just unbelievable, and it's going to come around. And I'll tell you right now, you people think your taxes are high now. One of our presidents wants to give free medical to everybody. I'm sorry. That's why you get jobs with medical insurance. It's very, very important to look for a job like that. Instead of getting all the money on the check, you look for your benefits. Benefits is number one. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Bruce Darien in Van Nuys.
Morning, President Garcetti, Council President Garcetti, and the City Council. Good evening. My name is Bruce Darien. I've spoke here before. It's been some time. I'm a candidate for mayor of Los Angeles, and yesterday I had the opportunity to file my intention of candidacy at the election office there downtown. I also had the opportunity to speak briefly with Councilman Reyes and had a nice conversation with him. The purpose of the conversation today is that the city attorney is evaluating whether or not I will be allowed to use the designation of my profession, vocation, or occupation as general contractor / whistleblower. Included the word whistleblower in there because I am one, and it does take up quite a bit of my time along with my general contracting profession. I'll read briefly what the guidelines are under the city's election campaign material. The city clerk shall not accept a designation for which any of the following would be true. 1, it would mislead the voter. 2, it would suggest an evaluation of a candidate such as outstanding, leading, expert, virtuous, or eminent. 3, it uses the word or prefix such as former or ex to indicate a prior status, provided, however, that the word retired may be used if it precedes the designation and is not abbreviated. 4, it uses the name of any political party. 5, it refers to any activity prohibited by law. Or 6, it uses a word or words referring to a racial, religious, or ethnic group. Whistleblower does not fall under any of those. There is no cause to deny the word whistleblower with my designation, and I expect the city attorney should make a decision today and inform me by letter that I will be on the ballot as Bruce Darian, general contractor / whistleblower. Thank you, good luck, and may everybody go out and vote. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. That will close our general public comment. If we can go to items called special, starting with number 7. We're going to, number 7.
Yeah, Mr. President, there is an amendment in the works on that. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Okay, let's hold that on the desk. Let's take up number 8. Mr. Zine, if you'd like to recuse yourself on number 8, we will give you a short vacation in the back. And with Mr. Zine's hasty exit, and if nobody would like to call 8 special, let's go ahead and open the roll on 8, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, that is approved, and Mr. Zine can rejoin us after that long read, and if we can send that forthwith without objection. If we can go to our next item, please.
Item 15, call special for cards from the public.
Okay, item 15 is our next one, starting with Miriam Fogler for public comment, and then Donna Pearman.
I see you got 14 more fee waivers, and I thought there was a moratorium on this. The mayor has asked the city council to do that. When the city council here as a whole going to stop doing this? You got to stop doing this, because otherwise you're going to have to use CRA money, and that's the one that's got all the money. They're laying off. Somebody told me, Bill Nightingale told me that they're laying off people in building and safety folks. And now the CRA, those people who work there, you know, they're working for the union, coalition of union, and they're shooting themselves in the foot, because these fee waivers are going to bite them in the foot. I'm going to bite them bad, because you think they're going to keep their jobs over the CRA, and you got your fee waivers still going on here. We got a budget crisis going on here. Last week you just talked about it. I don't know why you're still doing these. So there needs to be done. It needs to be stopped. And secondly, we need to be stopping all the spending, wasting of money, because we need to be able to pay for our essential services here for the city. I want to thank the police department, LA Fire Department coming out, helping me, because I saw a pedestrian walk into a car, and I thank them very much. They're very good people, and I don't like this, that there's a shortfall here, and this shouldn't be done on the backs of the taxpayers. Not right at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Donna Pearman. After that is, we just heard from Miriam Fogler. Okay, Donna Pearman.
Yeah. How can you ask for fee waivers after spending so much money on CRA projects? And when you give so much free money, get out of jail free card, we should take the CRA money and use that for fee waivers. They seem to have an endless amount of money. Certainly they can give back to us a little bit. Or perhaps our city council members, they can use their own money, because they seem to love these fee waivers so much. And the ones that I saw that are the biggest ones are for the International Tamale Festival for $5,000. Our 5th annual Motor for Toys charity car show, I think we should get that from somewhere else. Not that there's anything wrong with that one, but the money is $4,637. Our 25th annual Granada Hills Holiday Parade on December 7th, that's $9,364. And our last big one is annual Panamanian Independence Day Parade. I think people who are into that go through that, they should spend for it. $5,119. These are all wrong. We need to cut down on these fee waivers. I know some people think that it's a good thing because it brings out events and stuff like that, but certainly they can charge a small amount and all these fee waivers would go away, and the people would only be a small amount. So get rid of these fee waivers and get our city back on track. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes our general public comment on this item. If we can please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item called special, please.
Item 18, called special by Councilmember Weezer, and there are cards on this.
Okay, we have one card. Ms. Fogler, if you'd like to come forward on item number 18.
I was lucky I got out of that adjustables, but this is not right. The banks have been doing this for a long time. And I think in 3 or 4 times during the American history that we've had depressions, but 1929 was the worst. And my dad, luckily, he had a farm, so he didn't get affected. But the point of the matter is that any time you give people what they want, they get greedy. It's a human nature. It's human nature, period. Whether you're in power or you're in charge, you're an elected official or a CAO in the bank. You're going to, or CLA, you're going to use that vested power for yourself. It's human nature to become greedy and very crooked and criminal. And these people need to go to jail, just like what happened in the 1980s, the savings and loan, what happened then. Same thing needs to be done to Wall Street here for what they've done. And then they put the buses on the stock market. Now they use them for collateral, the MTA. Now they have to lose the buses. I mean, this is ridiculous that the banks and the Wall Street are doing this to our nation. This is immoral, unethical, and unpatriotic. And I think that, I don't care what you are, white, black, purple, or a Martian from Mars, we all are together here in the United States. And we should all stick up together for Americans. Today is a big day, and unfortunately both the candidates voted for the $700 billion bailout, which I'm mad at both of them. And as far as I'm going to, I have to take the one has more qualifications. But I know that Obama should have voted against it. That's a chutzpah what you did, Obama. And being born in Kenya, I hope you're a U.S. citizen. But
she is way off topic.
You want to know something? This is not way off topic. They voted for
this is on a moratorium on foreclosures. Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. That will close our general public comment on this item. If we can please open up our. I'm sorry, Mr. Weezer. My apologies.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. And I just wanted to briefly mention the importance of this item. This is a motion that calls upon the city to support and/or sponsor legislation at the congressional level that would impose a moratorium on foreclosures for a limited time to allow banks to renegotiate loans with homeowners. Obviously, as we know, the foreclosure crisis in this country, in particular here in Los Angeles, we are more aware of what is happening in terms of people losing their homes, and this motion would put the city of Los Angeles on record to say that if the Congress and the President is willing to give almost $1 trillion to banks to get them out of their problems, so should they also look at perhaps helping out people who are losing their homes to foreclosures. We hope that through this legislation it will show that the largest city in California is supportive, and we know that both presidential candidates have actually said something around these lines that they would support similar legislation. So this is putting us on record early on to support people who are losing their homes through foreclosures. And it's only asking for a moratorium as we renegotiate how they're going to spend those $700 billion, that those banks who take advantage of this bailout, that they also help out people who they have foreclosed on. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on this item and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, that is approved. I believe we have the amendment on 7 now has been circulated. And if there's no objection, we'll accept that as a friendly amendment on item number 7. Mr. Weezer, did you want to speak on 7?
No, I just needed some time to put in the technical amendment
Okay.
that we've submitted. So
It's been
Great.
submitted now, so.
Great, thank you. It's being submitted now. So.
Yep, okay. So as that is being passed out, if nobody else wishes to be heard on 7, we will accept friendly amendment and go ahead and please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, that is approved. Next item, please.
Item 20 was being held for 12 members and for Mr. Zine's recusal.
All right, Mr. Zine, this is your second recusal. Now you can take this. Now you can take the sports page now. And with his exit, if we can go ahead and open the roll on 20, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11
And Mr. Wesson was here for that vote.
12 ayes.
All right, that is approved. Mr. Zine can come back in. Next item, please.
Items 22 and 23 called special by Councilmember Hahn.
All right, Ms. Hahn, item number 22.
Thank you. Colleagues, this is an item that will amend the current police and fire pension plan. And under the current plan, dependent children are defined as a person who is disabled and unable to earn a livelihood. And so under the current plan, when a member passes, these children who may be unable to fend for themselves are faced with an extremely difficult decision. Under the current pension plan, they are unable to marry, or they're unable to be adopted into a new family without losing their pension benefits. There's a lot of people who think this is unfair. These are children of our very hardworking men and women in the police department and the fire department who have served this city with distinction and pride. And we believe that their children deserved to be taken, to be looked after, even when one of these members has passed. There's really only 47 dependent children as of 2008, and this amendment would allow them either the option of marrying or finding a new home with a new family after experiencing a tremendous loss of one of their parents. So I urge you to support this measure. Let's provide equity to the disabled children of our deceased firefighters and police officers. I think this is one part of their pension plan that deserves to be changed and updated, and I urge you to support that.
Thank you. If nobody else wishes to be heard, let's go ahead on 22. Open the roll, please. Oh, sorry, 23. We're taking those together. And close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
All right, that is approved. Next is item 24. Mr. Weezer called special, and I'd like to call on Mr. Weezer for item number 24.
Oh, this is it.
It's this sugar.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, this is a very important item that we're asking you to put on the ballot for March election 2009. It has to do with having an independent assessor in place to report to the Fire Commission and support the reforms that are occurring in the PSD. That is the Professional Standards Division that was created this last year to oversee any complaints of harassment, discrimination. As many of you know, with the rise of the Tenny Pierce case and the discussions that followed that, and the controller's audit that raised issues about whether the city and fire department and the fire commission is doing the proper review when complaints of harassment and discrimination come in. The fire department, along with the commission and NUFLAC, has been working on a professional standards division to better intake those complaints so that we better address issues of harassment and discrimination and ultimately lower the lawsuits that we have because of these incidents. This past year, the Public Safety Committee, Jack Weiss's Public Safety Committee, along with my Committee on Audits and Governmental Efficiency, we have been meeting to come up with a format, a new structure that will help implement some of the reforms already going on in the fire department. What we've come up with is the support for the Professional Standards Division, and because the independent assessor needs to be a charter amendment, that is why we need to place it on the March ballot. So we would ask for your support on this item, and I understand that Mr. Weiss may have some amendments to this, so thank you for your support. I think we've come a long way, and this process was a good one. An audit occurred, fire department responded, working with the mayor's office and our committees, and we come up with a good solution that I think in the long run will lower the number of discrimination complaints, harassment complaints, and also ultimately lower the number of lawsuits brought before the city. So thank you very much.
Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Weezar. It's been a pleasure working with you, not just on this precise issue of this proposed charter change, but also on the oversight aspects relating to the fire department since the controller's audits, and we've held a number of joint hearings, and I think we'll keep doing that. And what we've heard throughout the joint hearing process has been real progress at the fire department. New leadership at the fire department, new leadership, I like to say new, although there's a point, we can no longer say we're new leaders, right? So there's relatively new leadership at the fire department, relatively new leadership at the employee organizations, but it's all been very positive and good. One point, and I tried to get to you before this item got called, but we got called. One point that was made, I thought, very clearly by members of the Public Safety Committee during our hearings was we wanted it to be very clear that this is an audit and assessment position, that it's not an independent investigative position. And I think everyone agrees with that. The department agrees with that. The stakeholders group agreed with that, and that's the intent of the language here. There was, in just reviewing it and discussing it with our representative from the city attorney's office and our representative from UFLAC this morning, there was one clause that I noticed. It's clause E in the section that gives the independent assessor the ability, quote, to perform other duties as may be assigned by the board. Now, that was intended, or that was drafted, I'm told, to create options in the future for this position. To create options in the future consistent with this position is not consistent with my understanding of what the position ought to be, and it's not consistent with the rest of the language in the section, which expressly limits the position to doing audits and assessment, as opposed to independent investigations. Why, colleagues, are we not getting into independent investigations? Because we have now a new Professional Standards Bureau at the fire department under new leadership that is doing a good job, and we don't need to pile on with additional investigators. This independent assessor is supposed to be the eyes and ears for the commission to make sure that the PSB is doing its job well. It's not supposed to be an additional third-party investigator. And we had a long discussion. Mr. Zine will remember it. I think Mr. Smith was there. Mr. Weezer, you were there during our recent joint hearing, and that was pretty clear. I don't think that language is harmful in and of itself, but I think in an exercise of caution, I would move to remove paragraph E from Section 523 and also to remove the final clause from the charter amendment language that will go on the ballot, which reads, and who will perform such other duties as may be assigned by the commission. And I was going to ask if we can do that with your consent, but the item got called up there, and so I apologize for that. I wanted to say this to you before the item got called up.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any objection to that? If not, that will be accepted as a friendly amendment. We have Ms. Hahn, Mr. Labange, Mr. Rosendahl, and Mr. Weezer again. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. Well, I rise in support of us putting this on the ballot in March. I actually called for the creation of an inspector general for the fire department in 2006. So 2 years ago, I introduced a motion with Bernard Parks and Jan Perry because there had been issues like the Tenny Pierce case. There had been a scathing audit by the city controller. We know that the mayor issued an executive directive to end discrimination and hazing and harassment within the fire department. But it's based very similarly on what happened with our police department. One of the recommendations of the Christopher Commission was that the police department have an inspector general, making sure there was an independent person who was not beholden to anyone except for the people of Los Angeles, to make sure that the changes that were recommended by the Christopher Commission were actually implemented within the police department. This seems like the right thing to do for our fire department as well. We have in both departments such fine men and women serving this city in very difficult job descriptions, but we want to make sure that we have departments that are free of discrimination, free of harassment, free of anything that would in any way diminish or put a bad image on the fine firefighters, the fine police officers who serve this city. So I think this is the right thing to do. My motion 2 years ago asked for a report back telling us what we need to do to create this idea of an inspector general or assessor, and that's what we're doing today. We know that it has to take a charter change. We have to put this on the ballot and let the people decide whether or not they think this is the right step for us to take to ensure to ensure fairness, equality, and I think this will help to put that independent eye watching the commission, watching what's happening, and I support this.
Mr. Labange.
Is anyone here from the fire department? Mr. Weiss, is anybody here from the fire department? No, is anyone here from the fire department?
Uflex here.
I know. But I mean, is no one here from the fire department? I just say we're putting something on the ballot. Don't you think we should hear from the general manager? I mean, what was going on in committee?
Mr. Weezer and I had at our committee, at our joint committee, representatives from the fire department. I don't know if the chief came that day, but we had assistant chiefs. I'm trying to remember who they were, Mr. Weezer, and they reported on the results of a stakeholder inclusionary process and the language. This proposal was essentially sort of a consensus proposal that they had all reached in the fire department itself, represented by the general manager and his subordinates, were at that table.
But they support it?
Yes.
So, and then where are we going to fund this? Does anybody have an idea? Go ahead.
It's been funded already through last year's budget process. This money was put in, so we already have funding beginning January 2009. So we actually have funding beginning January 2009, but we're actually putting this on the March ballot.
But so January 2009 is 60 days away. There'll be no position. There's no acting position or anything at this time. We've got to wait till it gets voted on, and then it comes from there.
So actually, this position was in the budget last year, but we were told by the city attorney after the budget came out that there needed to be a charter change so that this position would be truly independent of the fire department and would report directly to the Board of Commissioners. That's what this does. In other words, they could hire this person, but without this change, the person would technically be in the chain of command, which wouldn't make them technically independent.
Members, I just will support this on the ballot, but as we go forward, and I see Sharon Show there, thank you, Sharon, I just want to make sure we don't cut any firefighters, paramedics, 800 series ambulances, heavy rescues, any specialized unit in the fire department, that this be paid for when it ultimately, hopefully gets approved by the voters by whatever administrative management could cut to perform this position. I think it's real important. We're going to go through a period of time of difficulty, but I think the service that has been upgraded by the fire department in the last several years, especially the 800 series ambulance, where there's a paramedic at every firehouse in the city, makes a difference. Sharon, thank you for your leadership on this always. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Rosendahl, then Mr. Zine, Mr. Weezer, and Mr. Weiss. Mr. Rosendahl. All right, we'll wait on Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Zine?
Thank you. Mr. Tufts is here from the UFLAC United Firefighters of Los Angeles. Steve, if you can come forward to make sure that the representation of the rank and file is supportive of this and the changes that have been proposed for this measure.
Yes, sir. We're in complete support of it. We've been working with the management, Chief Barry. We've been working with the COA, and we're in concurrence with this amended motion.
So the UFLAC, the union that represents the firefighters, the rank and file, is supportive of this new position, which the committees support, and I think my colleagues on the council support, to make sure that we have proper audit, control, and discipline within the fire department.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could I ask that, come on up, City Attorney, and just give us a quick hit on this, and also the legislative analyst lady. Bottom line is, folks, this has obviously been worked out, and it's a great thing, but I think people need to understand it a little better. Come on up and give us a quick summary of what this is, and objectively explain it to us. Go for it. And introduce yourself, your name for the record.
Good morning. I'm Janet Jackson with the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office and General Counsel for the Fire Department. Introduce yourself.
June Gibson with the CLA.
As a result of the audit and the audit implementation plan, the stakeholders and the commission worked on this matter, which is why the fire department isn't here. I was asked to come up with the language after the city attorney's office advised that a position could not be created by the Board of Fire Commissioners that reported directly to the fire commissioners without a charter change. So based upon the legal advice given by the city attorney's office, this is the necessary documents to change the charter to allow the Fire Commission to appoint an independent assessor to work directly for the Fire Commission to do their necessary audits and respond to the oversight of complaints through the PST unit.
Great, appreciate that. And the CLA, would you explain why we're doing this? I mean, we understand the technical legal aspect now.
The Council had introduced a couple of motions requesting that an independent assessor position be created to provide oversight to ensure that the reforms in the fire department were being instituted. As the city attorney indicated, they had advised that the authority for the Fire Commission to be able to appoint this position can only be done through a charter measure, and that's why we're here today.
Mm-hmm. And this comes out of the experience we had with hazings and these other issues. How did this boil up to the surface?
There were a couple of audits. One was conducted by the Personnel Department. The second one was conducted by the City Controller. As a result of that, there were numerous hearings conducted by the Public Safety Committee as well as the Audits and Governmental Efficiency Committee. And as a result of a series of hearings conducted by these committees, a professional standards division was created. The positions for that division were authorized in the budget, as was indicated by Councilman Weiss and Councilman Huizar. The independent assessor was also approved as part of the budget.
So this professional standards committee will then go forward in the future to make sure that the rules and regulations happen and we don't have this kind of insanity that we just went through. This gives us the teeth. Is that what it does?
This is correct. The PSD unit, the Professional Standards Division, is actually separate, and it is through the chain of command with the fire department. This position actually works for the Board of Fire Commissioners, so it has a little bit of autonomy and independence from the department, the checks and balance.
And from the CLA standpoint, this gives us the mechanisms and the oversight to give us that kind of comfort. I know that Chief Barry kept saying when we was appointed by the mayor, I need the tools in the toolbox so we can go forward. Does this do that?
The tools in the toolbox for the fire chief is actually through the Professional Standards Division. As the city attorney indicated, the concept of this position is similar to the position that was created for the Inspector General for the Police Commission. This provides an additional level of independence to provide oversight to ensure that the reforms in the department are actually being instituted.
Very good. Well, thank you both for sharing that with us. I think people need to know that when they go vote next March, and we hope people are voting right now as we're doing this live council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weezer.
Thank you very much. And again, I'd like to thank everyone who's been involved with this. Ms. Hahn, I know you asked put in a motion for this 2 years ago, and a lot of work has been done by the working group who was put together. I want to thank them as well. It was a real cooperative effort, a great way to get things done, and a good response to a very serious matter that we have before us in the fire department. Certainly, the budget, we want to respond to Mr. Labange's question. Initially, we thought we could recommend this through council, and we would not need a charter amendment, so we thought we would start with this position in January of 2009, and that is why we actually have put in some funding in the 2008-09 budget so that we could begin funding it in 2009 of January. But because the city attorney advises that it's a charter change and we need to go to the voters, we're actually going to begin soon after this is voted upon. So again, thank you to all the committee members. Mr. Weiss, thank you for your support and your advocacy for this. I know scheduling joint committees on top of our regular committees is a lot of work for our committee members to abide to, but this was a serious matter that everyone took very seriously, and we have a good result. Hopefully the voters will vote yes on this, and we get another person in there to oversee some of the issues that have been happening in our fire department. And we've done a lot of reform already, but we certainly have a lot more to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss.
And thank you, Mr. Weezer, as well. I know you've spent a lot of time on this and you care about it, and I think it's a good result. I just want to add for reasons I don't understand, neither committee report contained the following instructions, so I'd like to include the following instructions to the CLA, to instruct the CLA and the personnel department to work with the Fire Commission to report back to, I think, joint committee with the specific language that they're going to propose for the job class and the job description, because there was concern that we had earlier that the job description that had been published by the Commission was inconsistent with the charter change we were seeking. Now, they can't seek a job that does X when we have drafted a charter amendment that is much narrower than that. But nonetheless, if you all could work together and report back to our committee so we could see that language, I would appreciate it. It's just important to know that the Fire Commission is doing things that are consistent with the intent of this amendment. So with that, ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. If we can go ahead as amended and open the roll.
And, Mr. President, just for the record, the City Attorney's Office will be providing the clerk with a clean copy of the resolutions and ordinance with those corrections.
Okay. And here it comes. And it has been provided. Thank you. With that, let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Wesson, did you want it? No. Okay. Next order of business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
Mr. President, I believe the City Attorney has to make an announcement.
Mr. City Attorney?
Mr. President, today there was a public hearing scheduled regarding ordinance of formation for the Los Angeles Community Taxing District Number 2, the Grand Avenue Project, Council File Number 07-0332. That hearing will be continued to November 25th, 2008.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business.
Desk is clear.
All right, any announcements, colleagues? Mr. Labange?
Just election day. Everybody vote.
Thank you. Good reminder. Anybody else? Do we have any adjourning motions? If I could ask everybody in council chambers, please rise for our adjourning motions. Yeah, Ms. Perry?
I think this counts as an announcement.
Okay, Ms. Perry, for announcement?
You may want to make a comment to the funeral service, burial, and repast for Mr. Earl Parks will be Thursday, November the 6th at 11:30 a.m. at Holy Cross Cemetery, Risen Christ Chapel, 5835 West Slauson Avenue in Culver City. And then flowers may be sent to the funeral service at the address I just stated, and then donations can be made to Earl Parks' favorite charities, American Merchant Marine Veterans Memorial, or SS Lane Victory. Please be sure to note in memory of Earl Parks. Councilmember Bernard Parks and his family, of course, want to thank all of you for your kind words, your thoughts, and your prayers.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. We will begin our adjourning motions. First with Mr. Labange.
Yes, I just wanted to add to, on Thursday, a committee meeting that I had for Arts and Parks will be moved to 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
For Arts and Parks, 2:30 in the afternoon.
Thank
and
you.
also, as I mentioned earlier, on the day is Election Day, and everybody should read their ballots and make sure they read about the city issues A and B. With that being said, I wanted to ask that we adjourn in memory of Dr. Jerry Boyajian. He was our team doctor at John Marshall High for over 50 years. He was a medical practitioner, a doctor, very prominent in the community and all over Los Angeles, and especially in the Armenian community. He had a general practice in Los Angeles. He also was founder of the Hollywood Community Hospital, and a great guy. He had great daughters who were on the team. I just saw his daughter, Joy, who was in my class a few weeks ago. And back then, and this is like 35 years ago in high school, we would have a team doctor who would be there with his bag, and it was always Dr. Boyajian who was helping out John Marshall High School. I ask we adjourn in his memory. He's survived by his daughters Dawn, Jerry, and Joy, and his son Brian, and his wife of over 40 years preceded him in 2003. Dr. Jerry S. Boyajian.
Thank you very much. Do we have other adjourning motions today? If not, Mr. Rosendahl?
Yeah, just a quick thing about Senator Barack's grandmother who passed away. The day before the election, a woman that had an incredible influence on him and really nurtured him and took him through his life. You know we only have the moment, and when we just heard of Bernard's, last week, it's just hard to explain. Life is a mystery, and I know he has mixed feelings today, obviously, about his presidential campaign, but to have a grandmother like that was there for him, may she rest in peace, and may it give our presidential candidate strength today in this election day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl, and we'll put all members on that. And the Hawaiian authorities, just as a point of information, did confirm that her vote did get in before she passed. Absentee vote. Mr. Zahn.
The request is for Ola Ray Cheryl Cato, passed away September 5th, grew up in Overton, Texas. While in school, participated in spelling bees and speech meets. Summer of 1944, made her first trip to California, worked for the Long Beach Naval Shipyard to support her college education. September 46, married James Cato. Ola and James started their family in Harbor City, California, later moved to Compton, where she spent the rest of her life. Was employed by Hunt Weston Foods, as well as the County of Los Angeles Food Services Department, where she retired after 31 years of service. 1976, licensed her home with the state of California to provide care to mentally and physically disabled children. Her first client was 4-year-old and is still residing at her home at the age of 36. Heart was so big that once the children in her care became adults, she converted her license to an adult care facility. Always had a positive message to deliver and always kept a great big smile on her face. Survived by her husband, James, of 62 years, 3 daughters, 2 sons, 1 Ronnie Cato, a member of the Los Angeles Police Department, many great-grandchildren, foster children. May she rest in peace. Ola Ray Cheryl Cato.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. With that, can Mr. Labange will second that? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you all. Have a good election day, and we will look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow on November 5th, 2008, here in Council Chambers. This meeting, the Los Angeles City Council, is adjourned. Don't forget to vote.